Hello there, Jose Rodriguez here. Hello there, Jose Rodriguez here again. In this video I'm going to cover a subject that I normally don't even perform, and that is soft proofing my images before I send them to the printer. Now I'm going to be demonstrating this process on a standard image. In fact, this is my favorite standard image, and I used this in the past in a couple of the videos that I recently uploaded. So basically this is what it looks like on my monitor, and we will see what color space I actually am working under. And I usually set up my Photoshop as Adobe RGB, but most of you will have it set as sRGB. So I'll go ahead and set it back to sRGB. Okay, so in order for you to, I suppose people think this is an actual prediction of what the photo is going to look like when you print it, but it really isn't. It's just a close approximation. In fact, it's often way off. Okay, so it's actually an exaggerated approximation of what the photo is going to look like when you print it. Now it's taking into account the profile that it will be printed with and the type of paper. So often you can do that when you print it. You can actually sort of do a soft proofing before actually sending it to the printer. But most of us just use the View tab, and then we go to Proof Setup, Custom, and then in this tab we just go ahead and load up a profile. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and use the sRGB. Now in order for you to be able to see it, you have to go ahead and hit the preview button, and I want you to take a look right in this area here. Now remember, these colors are almost all of them auto gamut. They all are practically auto gamut. In fact, so are these reds here. So when we hit preview, you can see the change that takes place here in this region. I want you to really take a close look at that. This is what it's going to look like when printed. As you can tell, there's hardly any difference between this green and this green when viewed under the sRGB profile. Now if I remove that tick from the preview box, you can see that indeed they are entirely different greens. So let's go ahead and actually load an actual profile. I'm going to look for the one that I use the most, which is Canon Pro-100, for instance, the quality 1/2 photo printer luster, Pro Luster. And let's go ahead and look at that. Even worse, folks, take a look at that. Now you see that? That is not at all what it's going to look like when you print it. It's actually going to look closer to this. It just absolutely looks horrible, doesn't it? That's what I mean by soft proofing. Soft proofing does not really give you an accurate rendition of what the print is going to look like. You can see the vast degradation of these colors here, and that really does not take place when you actually print it. So I am here at relative colorimetric. I'm going to go ahead and hit perceptual and try that again, and actually it works a little bit better. So as you can see, we'll go ahead and switch from relative colorimetric to perceptual, and it does actually look better with perceptual. Now perceptual tends to push into the printable gamut, or the gamut of the printer, or the gamut of the printer, because I have chosen this printer here. It pushes all of the auto gamut colors inside the gamut, and so that's why you can see that a lot of these colors that would actually look terrible in relative do not. Okay, and that's because it's actually shoving them into the working gamut of the printer. Perceptual does not do that so much. Relative colorimetric does not do that so much. Basically it only shifts those colors that are out of gamut barely within the gamut of the printer, and it does not shift the colors that are already inside that gamut space. Okay, whereas this one pushes everything in and shifts internal colors in. This one does not. It just barely pushes them in. Now, I guarantee you that you will not get these horrible results printing this image using relative colorimetric. In fact, if you look at my video that I just recently did on profiling, you will see the results of that, and they're not at all looking this bad. Okay, so this is greatly exaggerated. So again, let's go ahead and get out of there. You want to proof your image against any of the actual ICC profiles that you may have loaded. Basically, we'll go ahead and use Perceptual because a lot of people use that. So let's go ahead and pick another printer. Let's just, for instance, go to the 9500 Mark II. We'll pick semi-gloss, and you can see the difference between that one. You can see right here. We're going to disregard these for now because, again, like I said, these are really out of gamut colors, and I'll show you that as soon as I get done with this demonstration. Let's see what it does to the black and white, for instance. It actually improves it somewhat. Look what it does to the ramp, and I see a little bit of red in those squares right there. So actually it is introducing a color cast onto the lower tonalities, or the first step, say from 0 to about, I don't know, 18, I would say. Alright, so that's how you do it. You just basically load whatever profile you want to compare against, and then you toggle back and forth, and you can see what a vast difference, especially here, this particular program, this particular profile is creating. Now if you look at the rest, I'll cover those up for now so you don't get confused looking at them. You can see here that it actually introduces a little bit of an orangey tint to the yellows. Now, is that going to translate to an actual print? Probably not. Probably not. It'll be a much more subtle change in the actual print. The only time it looks exaggerated is when you actually do the soft proofing, and I suppose you can go ahead and make decisions on that as you are viewing them. Now, some people will go ahead and leave the soft proofing on and will go back and edit that photo. So leaving the soft proofing on, and they go back and edit the photo so that it appears as they want it to appear on the screen, and then they go ahead and print it. Okay, so that's basically, you're doing a correction based on the soft proofing results when you're viewing the print through a specific ICC profile. And that's a sound process. You can do that if you would like. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, a lot of people will do that, and it actually does work. Okay, so let's go ahead and undo this. I want to show you how badly out of gamut these colors really are. Everything that is gray is out of gamut. Okay, see a little bit over here, not too much. Some over here in the sky, but look at all of these colors. All of these colors have been targeted as being out of gamut. That means they're just not going to print as you see them, and that is just a simple demonstration of what happens. And again, this is particularly a good image because it has colors that you probably will never be able to print correctly depending on the printer. Maybe some of the 12 color printers can possibly bring some of these colors closer to what you actually see here. Alright, so let's just go ahead and say that I'm going to go ahead and print it. Let me rotate it. I'll go ahead and send this to the printer, and we'll go ahead and pick, I don't know, any printer that I have here, and you could see how badly out of gamut that is. So I have a set for my custom Canon Pro 100 filter. I go ahead and Canon Pro 100 ICC profile, but I'll go ahead and put it back with the canned profile from Canon. Now normally these would be off or turned off. Now this is what it looks like without soft proofing. Go ahead and enlarge this a wee bit. So within the print module of your Photoshop, you will have these options here, and these allow you to match print color. And I'll go ahead and turn off Gamut warning. I don't want to see that. So this is what it will print like if it actually would print the way soft proofing says it would look like, but that's not the case. It'll print a lot more brighter than this, folks. It will print nothing like that. Not this bright, but again, not this dull either. And it keeps resetting itself to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and this one takes care of the color changes that supposedly this profile will cause. This one here takes into account the paper base for the Pro luster. And again, this is greatly exaggerated, folks, so don't take this as the gospel. But this will give you an idea of what it might look like when you print it. And like I said, that's the reason I basically do not use soft proofing. It is just so exaggerated and so inaccurate, as is often the case, that when I actually see the print coming out of the printer, I say, well, heck, I don't have to reprint this. Even if my soft proofing said I should have increased the saturation or the contrast or whatever the case may be to make it look better, when you actually print it, it actually looks quite good. Alright, so that's one way to do this. Let's go ahead and open up Lightroom, and I'll show you how it's done there. In Lightroom, it's a lot easier. And by the way, for those of you who own Lightroom CC 2015, there's a new update, 2015.3. And now here I have the same image loaded. So now to soft proof, all you have to do is hit the S key, S as in Sam. And that is your soft proof result. You can see it there. And this is using my own ICC profile. Let's go back to the Canon one right there. So this is with the profile. So think of the profile as a magic filter through which you are looking or viewing this image, and the filter will impart its own slight characteristics and changes to sort of give you a close representation of what the print will look like when it pops out of the printer. So go ahead, see how much brighter these colors are, and now they're much duller. In fact, these two almost blend together. This is a little bluish, a little bit more bluish than this one, but in reality it's kind of a neon looking color. And again, these are totally unrealistic colors. Even the 4-ink process cannot, used in offset printing, could not possibly reproduce these colors. But simply, you should actually concentrate on these areas here, because this represents real images, folks. So this is what we should really concern ourselves with. And I'll go ahead and zoom into this area here, and we'll go ahead and toggle back and forth. Now this is without soft proofing, this is with. Now you could go ahead and take this and adjust contrast, exposure. For that you have to create a proof copy. Well, we're not going to go ahead and do that. So, but anyway, you can make changes, make a duplicate of it, make changes to it, and then print them. But again, the results that you get will probably be not what you want to see, because like I said before, the soft proof result is exaggerated. Okay, so it's not going to be as dull looking as you see it here. It's going to be closer to this, but not quite. Okay, so that's the problem with soft proofing. Now, soft proofing will come in very handy, especially if you create your own profiles. And the reason being is that if during the process of the profile creation you make a mistake, your instrument does not properly read the patches, and the resulting profile has a bunch of faults or holes. You look at a profile, you think of it as a three-dimensional gamut map, and it might have an area that is totally empty. Well, that will show up drastically when you soft proof. Okay, so that'll immediately tell you, uh-oh, you know, this is going to look like a psychedelic poster from the 1960s, and it probably will, because it actually will give you an exaggerated view or rendition of what it's going to look like. Okay, so that's my take on profiling. Okay, so that's my take on soft proofing. Again, like I said, I really don't use it a lot. I occasionally will use it just to see what my images might look like. Here's another one that's a little bit easier to print, as it has really no out of gamut colors. As you can see, there's hardly any difference. And so as long as you have images that are pretty tame, you'll be fine. This is without, and this is with. You can see, look here. You see the difference between here and here? It kind of goes away when you send it to print. And again, it's not going to be that exaggerated. It will somewhat resemble this, just not as exaggerated as you see it on the screen. Alright, so if you like this, please like it. Don't forget to share. That helps a lot. Spread the word. Please subscribe if you find the Please subscribe if you feel the need to. And so until the next time, bye bye and happy printing.